Nick is from UK. He's here all the way from there to share his thoughts and everything. I'm sure you will find it very interesting and important. And other than Nick, the speaker, we had actually planned 3 speakers here, Tarun, Shayan and me, but Tarun is here. He is here from Jaipur. Shayan Chaudhary, the Panaji Development CEO, he had to rush to Delhi yesterday night, so he is not here. But between all 3 of us, we will try to definitely ensure that you get whatever you are here for.
I'm not a tourism specialist, and I'm going to be making 3 points today, one of which is about support. I live in a tourist resort, I have tourist clients, but mainly I'm a small business specialist. And my job really involves taking high-level thinking, putting it into a small business context, and enabling businesses to accomplish their own goals. And whilst this topic is about tourism, all I'm really talking about is ways of thinking, which can be applied to any type of business. So please think about what you do, or what you want to do, and how that can relate to you. Just for my interest, how many entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs are there in the room? Give me a wave. Oh, a good few. And 2 over there who are not putting their hands up. What can you do? But I can talk about sustainable, and a definition that I can use for sustainable is a business that lasts. And building any sustainable industry or business, you need the first guiding principle, which is part of the Hippocratic Oath. Primum non nocere, which in English, first, do no harm. And that's to your business, your suppliers, your customers, your team. And remembering business is hard, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. Do no harm to yourself. Most small businesses fail in the first 5 years, generally through knowledge gaps, not lack of money. And in the West, most government initiatives tell people how to market or organise their finances or things like that. Experts teach this in silos, rather than explaining how the elements interact and how business works in the round. It's really quite upsetting, but there you go. It's a bit like having a jigsaw puzzle. You know, when people start their businesses, you have all the pieces of the jigsaw, but you need the picture. So it all tends to go a bit wrong or slowly. And some of you who have or are starting a business will understand the fog you're in at the beginning. I think people need guidance and support to show how it all fits together. And having a support system to help businesses make sense of your new world might reduce this failure rate. And that reduces the level of state support you need, makes for a much more vibrant local economy. So my first suggestion is build a support system and a network of self-help. My second point is about community. Goa has a rich cultural and artistic heritage, which I am not qualified to talk about, but they are. But I can say that people want authentic experiences, not just things. You have a chance to build relationships, not just have transactions. And relationships have that opportunity for community, which can influence quality. So include your new visitor friends, so to help you influence what you need to build a sustainable future for you. Community exists at many levels, and building relationships with people who have holidayed in Goa enables you to reinforce why they came and make them feel good about their trip, and help them to tell people outside and spread the word. Community means a multi-directional information system. It's not you telling them. It's collaboration, it's not even consultation. It's allowing them to discuss and influence each other. You listen and modify your offering depending on what you hear. It enables businesses to be agile, flexible and resilient, which is another way for a business to last. There's also a community within Goa. Businesses have the ability to link with one another to provide a better overall visitor experience. It's called co-opetition, when businesses don't compete with one another, as most of their customers are outside the area. If they cooperate competitively, co-opetition, they can develop an offering which is richer to the outside world and from which they will all benefit. Locally in Bournemouth, where I come from on the south coast of England, this happens quite a lot in the creative, digital and IT sector. It's quite large for Bournemouth and it's growing faster than anywhere else in the UK. There are a few large agencies and an awful lot of small ones. They all understand, though, that most of their work comes from outside the area, so there is little point in trying to compete with one another when they're really competing with agencies which are nowhere near them. So better to join together to get bigger chunks of work that individually they could not bid for. This sector is still relatively small, but has self-belief and has relentlessly promoted itself. And this has become self-fulfilling. More talent is being attracted to the area, and it's growing through its own publicity with a diet of only good news. Your market is worldwide. Your hotel is not competing with hotels in Goa until people come to Goa. This is not somebody else's job, it's everybody's. You have to make the whole Goa offering compelling, acting in a fragmented way, which means you'll risk losing out to other parts of the world. Scotland has similar issues, which it addresses very well through its government website, Visit Scotland. It's comprehensive, uniquely Scottish. You need to make your offering uniquely Goan. Amitava, in his opening address yesterday, said, don't do copy and paste. I'll add to that. Copy and paste means copy and fail. Good. Whatever the government does or doesn't do, it still has to scale for local people for their benefit. Another Scottish example, the Bliss Trail. This has won 2 national awards. It's run by my sister-in-law. So, full disclosure, she and her husband have 2 cottages for rent on the side of the loch. Their village and 3 others around them, people just drive through. They're on the way to places, they're not destinations in themselves. So they joined together and created the Bliss Trail. They encouraged local artists to donate or lend pieces of art which were placed in 14 different locations all along the trail, in and between the 4 villages. And the Scottish government gave a lot of moral support, but in terms of money, they put up road signs. So it didn't cost them a lot, but they did promote it very, very heavily. And using digital and IT has made a huge, huge difference. Apart from social media activities, the Bliss Trail also uses 2 apps, geotourist.com and what3words.com. So people can get an audio commentary on the installation using the Geotourist app, and they can easily find it, even if it's in the middle of a field, using What 3 Words. Both work globally, by the way. And I'm slightly surprised at the lack of social media emanating from Goa except on Instagram. I think you have a huge opportunity. These 2 apps relieve anxiety for visitors. Can I find it? Is it interesting? Where are the toilets? So make life easy for them and they will come. What do you think when you go somewhere new? What bothers you? What do you need to know? Let's just see for a moment how What 3 Words works. It's a 3-meter square delineated by 3 unique words, and there's a square for every area around in the globe, including the oceans. This example, acid trifling reverses, is the entrance to the university. I am currently at Invasion Boardroom premises. They are at Endings, Spoils, Broadens. The gentleman with the camera is at Ultra Safe Haunt. So you find places that way. Do you see the way these 2 apps can be used in Goa? There were local objections to the Bliss Trail. One person running a small hotel wondered, why should I help to promote other competing establishments? And it's a common small business owner remark. He sees the cake being divided competitively instead of trying to cooperate to create a bigger cake. This needs dialogue, locally, regionally, nationally. By dialogue, I know, you know, that's a lot of dialogue between all the players, local, regional, national, businesses and government agencies. So, second suggestion, frame initiatives as to who wants more cake. Oops. My third suggestion is about tourism. Thank you. Generally, we think of people coming into the area, but really there are 3 sorts of tourists. There are international tourists, there are national tourists, and there's the local population as well. All produce economic activity for the area. All can help to create a year-round tourism footprint, not reliant on beaches. They can also encourage relationship building rather than simply transactions. The more engaged your population is with your visitors, and vice versa, the more relationships they'll build, the more they'll tell other people. Don't neglect your local population. It's another example of building community and enablement. People seek meaning in what they do, leisure pursuits or work, everything. The more you can break down hierarchical top-down structures and replace them with more community-inclusive frameworks, the more the meaning becomes clear to people. In this day and age, I think we need to reframe Peter Drucker's famous idea of knowledge work. Judgment work is the new knowledge work. It's not enough to give people information and simply facilitate. You have to really understand them and bring them into your world. But people won't easily come into your world. You have to enter theirs first. Show understanding, build trust, and then you can invite them into your world. And that creates fans. There's been a shift driven by the new entrepreneurial age. No longer are there mass markets. Instead of masses, there are multitudes. You can't treat people like a homogeneous group. That's a mass. But as a large number of individuals, that's the multitude. Masses react passively, multitudes react actively. Marketing needs to reflect this change. You can't just push it out and hope anymore. This is where judgment comes in as well. Exercising judgment because you know them better. So you can put yourself in their shoes. What do they want? What's interesting to them? For a community, whether Goa as a whole, a village, community of a business to sustain itself successfully, it needs that agility, flexibility and resilience. It needs management to be not controlling, but enabling, and leaders who are more servants than masters. So my last suggestion, market to multitudes and create a community. And to summarize, in 3 words, support, cake, multitudes. And my absolute last 3 words, obviously, doesn't work. Thanks for listening. please, Taran, come and tell us about your experiences and how these fit with the sustainable goals that you think hotels should have.
Hello everyone. I'm Tarun. I come from Jaipur. I've been asked here to present my own views on sustainable tourism. Everybody here, the audience here in the morning, they have much more knowledge than me and much more experience maybe. However, I can give you the viewpoint of a small travel industry owner, of a small hotelier. Sustainability, responsibility, these terms look nice, but a lot of times we as a business owner who are trying to survive and perhaps flourish, for us these are fancy terms. How does it matter to us? Well, it does. So let me present my take on this. And we are a family managed firm. My grandfather started this 20-room hotel in Jaipur 35 years back, and my father and my uncle joined in, and I'm really the third generation of the same family who's taking this forward. The world has changed. The speed of change has increased. The world changes now in 3 years, 2 years. For my family, hospitality or tourism is our sole occupation. It's not a side business. This is what we earn our bread from. We offer simple, value for money, hopefully elegant, reasonably priced hotels, restaurants, and travel products. And these are small travel products. These are walking tours, these are workshops, these are not big Ayato or Thai travel agencies. These are not big 5-star hotels. These are small homestays, 20, 30 room, 40 room. The biggest hotel is 100 rooms, but yeah. Our design is inspired by functionality. It's inspired by local design sensibilities, and we use local handicrafts. So we're a chota player. Tourism is in a very interesting phase of expansion. It used to be the activity of a few super rich elite. It is now a necessity. It's a bit more like the Shikar days of old, You needed all the 5 big cats on your wall. So now you need images from all the parts of the world to be on your Instagram or on Twitter, because that's how you brag about on your dinner table. Let me show you a few slides of what tourism has come to mean, unfortunately. That's August 6th issue of Time magazine, the tourism trap, God save me. This is the industry that I work in, trap. City of Paris has sued Airbnb for listing homes that do not comply with permit regulations. There might be fire regulations, safety regulations for all you know. So this is a big issue. Population of France is 65 million, it gets 87 million tourists. Tourism in Iceland has grown by 230% in the last 5 years. International arrivals last year is 1.3 billion. Let's come home now. Welcome to Leh. This pristine looking stream has sewage flowing out of Leh town into it. That garbage dump is not of Jaipur, it is of Leh. That's Pangong Lake. You can't go, if you're searching for Shangri-La, you can't go further than this. This is on the border of India and Tibet, now China. 600 vehicles in summers every day visit the lake. Some of them go right to the banks. It's not allowed, but they do it. 3 Idiots, you remember the movie? Acting the part. So, well, they also have the scooter there, the Karishma Kapoor scooter. So you can get on that, get an image clicked, and send it to Instagram. I'm not talking about Savai Madhopur, Ranthambore. Ranthambore is a small tiger park. Let me talk about Kanha, which is a huge tiger park, 2,500 square kilometers of pristine woodland. That's Kanha. In season time, each morning or evening, about 280 to 300 vehicles get into the park. That's maybe the traffic jam of gypsies that cannot place. I had some interesting figures of Kanha and how tourism is impacting the area around Kanha. And this is from an article from the Down to Earth magazine. 540,000 liters of water a day are being extracted by hotels around Kanha. These do not go to give us water, they go into our swimming pools. Kanha, the area, all the hotels run their air conditioning units on kerosene and diesel. Just imagine the millions of liters of kerosene and diesel that we're putting in. 302 tons of firewood are extracted annually. Where is it coming from? From the buffer areas. So tourism, a lot of times, is we are trying to kill the golden goose. Who's doing it? The stakeholders. The tourists are not saying that, when we come there, you give us so many liters of water or firewood. These are our own antiquated, archaic terms a lot of times. That if a tourist is coming in, we want to give him a swimming pool, we want to give him a firewood, bonfire. So all these, we should ask that question whether these are really required. Are these the necessity for a tourist? Or are these our own, as a stakeholder, as a travel agent, as a hotelier, as a restaurateur, our own antiquated, archaic reasoning of something that has evolved much beyond that? So now let me come to, again, the micro. What can I do as a small hotelier? What can I do as a small restaurateur, a travel agent? Somebody who earns his or her bread from tourism. As a business operator, Ecologic is good business. See, I come from Jaipur. Jaipur is the kingdom of Marwadidom. Yeah. So we are supposed to be good financial guys. We are Marwadis. So Ecologic is good logic. Sustainability is cool itself. Sustainability helps create positive memories. It's not difficult, it's accessible. Technology, the knowledge is accessible. It's not rocket science. Sustainability helps develop and promote tourism products that are helpful and sustainable, that offer something unique yet timeless. And why should somebody go to the Pangong Lake for a unique selfie or a super selfie? Memories, a lot of times, as travel operators, we are in the business of making memories, right? So memories can be made anywhere. Unique experiences, you don't need to go to the end of the earth to find unique experiences. Why not try and develop products that offer you something happy, something unique, something knowledgeable, something that you can share, impart, learn in our own villages, cities, and towns. Should be interesting to work on. So let me show you some examples of small projects that I am fortunate to be associated with in my city of Jaipur. When I say that we're trying to develop some products that are unique and accessible. So this is Rajasthan Rural Arts Program. Jaipur Virasat Foundation is a well-known organization working with folk music in Jaipur. And we are trying to develop, 2nd October is the opening, when we have developed a small museum that talks about folk musicians, about their past, their present, and their future. We have a showcase of their instruments, we talk about the musicians, and you can listen to their music. There's a small recording room, the rap studio, where you can record music. There's an archiving place, there's an office. And we also do programs. All these are images from the last 2 or 3 months, where we are having events there, workshops for children where they can learn folk music, rap jams, In fact, today we have a collaboration between Peruvian musicians and Rajasthani folk musicians at the center. So super interesting, super unique. And from the social sector, let me come to the natural sector. This project is called Kishan Bagh. It's 5 kilometers from the center of town of Jaipur. It's being developed by Pradeep Krishan and his team. Pradeep Krishan is a very famous author who writes on trees, and this is a government-sponsored project. So JDA, the Jaipur Development Organization Authority, has given this land to Pradeep to develop and revitalize. For me, this is a super exciting tourism product. A place, just imagine, 10 minutes from your hotel or 20 minutes from your hotel, you can go visit shrubland, see natural birds, butterflies of that area. There are about 18 different types of grasses in this area. Super exciting for a tourism product. Pradeep doesn't call this as a grassland, he calls this as a shrubland. So Jaipur, the region, receives about 50 centimeters of rainfall in a year. I think Goa would receive that in a matter of a weekend. And we have to make do with that. Our forests naturally were not very, we don't have large trees, we have shrubs. But at the same point of time, they're beautiful. And they support a completely different type of life. Avian, insects, reptiles, a lot of reptiles, and also big animals. A third project that I'm associated with talks about crafts. This is Jaipur Diaries. We do craft workshops, pottery, paper mache, block print. All these workshops are done by artisans or craftsmen who are invited to organize this workshop. These workshops can happen anywhere. I'm sure there are about 10 different types of arts or crafts that are there in Goa. It just requires some imaginative hotelier or some imaginative restaurateur, and I'm sure there are many of them who are doing it, to collect this and present this art in a curated form. It's important for it to be curated so that a person who's alien to this culture can understand what we're talking about and appreciate it and go back with good memories. Again, we're memory makers, so all that I'm trying to do is, in my own selfish sort of way, help tourists make memories. By that, I make business sense. Now coming to the hotel part of it, as I said, sustainability is good financial, economic sense to me. Silly images. We tried making our rooms more sustainable. So to my surprise, I found that there's a lot of plastic that we use in our rooms, and a lot of it is useless. So every hotel room has a plastic tray for the tea and coffee kettle. Replace that with wood. Can happen. A lot of us use plastic bottles, so we can have glass bottles, and I have a tag there that says RO water. So even if you're coming from outside, if you have reverse osmosis treated water, then you feel safe about it. So maybe you don't buy a couple of bottles of mineral water from my restaurant, which is good. 2 bottles less in the ocean. We replaced our buckets, again plastic. Replace it with steel or brass. We stopped giving soap or shampoo sachets. That's so much plastic for one single use. So we got these terracotta containers made, and one of them has soap and the other one has shampoo. So I think it makes sense. It says there as a tagline, the story of a toilet roll. So we were using toilet rolls from recycled paper made by Padamji, which is a well-known company for toilet rolls in India. And these toilet rolls, though they were made from recycled paper, they were coming in a plastic foil. So believe me, it took me 2 months of persuasion with the company before they agreed to take the plastic foil out. Now just imagine what sort of stupid thing is this, that you're giving me toilet rolls which are packed in a carton, and I'm putting them on a toilet roll stand. All that the plastic is doing is that my room boy is to remove that and then put it on a toilet roll. How does it work? So a lot of plastic and a lot of non-recyclable resources that have come into our daily use are there because we have just stopped thinking or observing them. So just a small example. We stopped giving newspapers in the room. Instead, we had this. It's not a very nice photograph, but we have a stand. So the papers are in the stand. Anybody calls me that I want a paper, either my boy goes there, or we can tell the guest that, sir, there is a stand right outside the corridor. Take a newspaper from there. Newspaper usage newspaper purchase has dropped by about 60%. Not everybody reads a newspaper. And again, this is something that all hotel rooms give every day below your door. So these are just small, simple steps. Coming to larger steps, we have proven technology available today where we can get composting machines, solar to electric energy. We had such a fantastic session yesterday, which was so energizing. Drip irrigation, compact sewage treatment systems, solar cookers, all that is available. The price is dropping. Again, economically speaking, see, till the time sustainability is a fad, it won't work. Businesses won't adopt it. But sustainability is not a fad. It supports me reduce my cost. It helps me give a better memory to the guest. So on a local level, on a community level, on an individual level, on a very selfish level, it makes complete sense to a small hotelier or a small travel agent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Taryn. That was really interesting, and I think we didn't rehearse anything beforehand, but he's followed my lead astonishingly well. So he talks about authenticity, he talks about memories, he talks about what tourists now want, which is exactly that. So let's see, Amitabha, follow that, which I know you will.
The role changes. I've been comparing the event and now I'm here as a speaker. On a subject where for us, we are 18 years old social enterprise and tourism is evolving for the last 4 or 5 years. Very interestingly, it's a byproduct that is coming. But what we are seeing is a very interesting change in the world. I will start with Tarun's few of the points. Creating memory is tourism product. Sustainability is business. These are very interesting and I think the pillars of business. At banglanatak.com, we work with traditional art and culture. And the first thing when we go to community is actually we help them to realize that their tradition is valuable and is marketable. World moves in 2 ways. One is, world is looking for this, so we all run for that. Another is, you make this and you make your product available to the world. The first one forces you to be commercialized. Because world is looking for this. You are here, But you backtrack this, that, and you try to reach there. And unknowingly you become a part of the copy-paste machine. Whereas, if you are making this, and world is here, world will slowly come to you, and that's where the marketing, innovation matters. It will take its time. That's why I go back to Nick's point, the first 5 years is essential. It will take time. There is no shortcut to success. I think it's in Indian philosophy, these are being taught to us when we were kids, when we were growing up. There is no shortcut to success. So in the startup arena or the mode, please don't think that you start a business, tomorrow you will be Facebook. Friends, it will not happen. Coming to tourism, there are a few examples I will give you, and then I will bring it to India, then I will bring it to, because this is an international conference, we have speakers international, national and local. Government of Bahrain invited me about 3 years back to do a small study on their setup and to tell them what is the solution that we should do, that they should adopt. Obviously, I need to know what is the problem. So we went there, visited all the places, met 27 general managers of the biggest hotels in the world. Bahrain has, I think hotels end at 7-star. Bahrain's hotel must be starting with 9 stars. There is nothing that you get in the hotel. I mean, it's like too much. 27 GMs have told us and given us a very interesting figure. Average night stay for a guest in Bahrain is 1.2 days. This data clearly tells you that Bahrain is not a tourist destination. Because otherwise, why they will stay for 1.2 days? Certainly there is something going wrong. So the moment we identified the problem, then I started looking at Bahrain's history. People used to go to Bahrain because Bahrain was very popular for pearl diving. Guests used to go dive and get pearls. Suddenly Bahrain got oil. Everybody forgot pearl diving. So the skill, the traditional skill of Bahrain is lost. Because everybody has oil now. People are rich. Now we have to understand, rich does not mean you are skilled. If you are skilled, that might take you to richness. The reverse will not happen. So Bahrain lost the entire skill. So no tourist goes to any place to be at a hotel. I will not travel, you will not travel to any place to be in the 8-star hotel or the 7-star hotel. It will never happen. Now hotels are part of hospitality, but hospitality is not tourism. Tourism has one component which is known as hospitality. I think most of Indian tourism, or I will say global tourism, many of them has made the mistake. Even, let me tell you, World Tourism Organization, when it was formed by all the hotel owners. They were kept in the committee of World Tourism Organization. Only about 19 years back, United Nations realized that all hotel owners cannot be in the UN committee of WTO. And that's why when United Nations World Tourism Organization was formed, they brought various other stakeholders. Because the usual thinking was, I have created a hotel, I have given jobs to the local people, so money is percolating, so, I'm creating a great deal of contribution in the local area. Friends, it never happens. Because you are considering all our labors. Where is the co-owner? Where is the stakeholder? Where is the policy guidance? These are very interesting things happening all over the world. I'll give a small example of another small country, another big country, Spain. Now Spain, fantastic tourism going on. Spain is known for flamenco. Everybody knows that. But actually, if you go to the Andalusia, the southern of the south of Spain, where flamenco is from, the villages are drying up. Nobody has any pride or attachment for flamenco. Nobody is going for flamenco. So now where is flamenco most of the time? Flamenco you get to see as a tourist at the restaurant in Madrid. Now the moment it is limited to restaurant in Madrid, then the authenticity part is zero. Because even I can be in Madrid and I can start dancing flamenco, right? Because there is no knowledge attached to it. The knowledge and authenticity comes from the source. And as far as the restaurant commercialization is concerned, they get to see, I need a flamenco. So flamenco here becomes a toy. Authenticity is not toy. The third important point, just a reverse example, Poland. Fantastic economy. By the way, if you do not know, within the European economy, now Poland is actually quite strong. Poland, another very interesting country, and what they have done, they are promoting village festivals. They are promoting the local culture to village festivals. Why? Because tourists go there to see such things. They are not promoting this hotel, that hotel, this hotel, that hotel. Hotels are needed. Hotels are must, where people need to stay. But nobody will go to Poland for a hotel. These are interesting perspective. I don't know if you have been to Shantiniketan, the Tagore's place. If you go there, most of the time we see that in the evening, somebody will go and will ask for his drink, and they'll say, can we have some baul? What is this? And when that baul comes, he will say, can we have one music called Rit Majhari? Maybe you have heard one song, Rit Majhari. So, baul limited to Shantiniketan, hotel, drinks, and Rit Majhari. Friends, there is much more than that in baul. This is how commercialization kills tourism within a time frame. This is what he was also mentioning in the plastics, is that because you don't get the pride, the attachment in it. So it is not only outside, but here it is important. He mentioned about 1.3 billion tourists. 1.3 billion tourists, the UNWTO figures, and they have been asked, why do you move from place X to place Y? 38% of the people said, we want to experience culture. Imagine, we are in a country of culture. India is a gold mine as far as culture is concerned. What we are doing? This is exactly what we need to promote. In ITB Berlin, we have seen Madhya Pradesh shows a face of a tiger. India tourism also used to show elephants, as if we don't exist. People come to India to see elephants. In Bengal, we have seen that tourism shows Victoria Memorial. We don't have anything else. That's where even the contradiction, the conflict comes. Whose heritage we are talking of? Many times we think culture also gives pride, and pride also gives rise to the conflict. But it is important to understand the pulse of the people. Without people, tourism it will not work. When people come here, when Nick is here, Nick is interested in meeting people. Meeting how you are, because Nick is aware of his orientation, so don't show him the air-conditioned room. He has air conditioning. He has seen it. He has seen the lift. But what he has not seen, that is something that we need to show, because we have that. I think that's where tourism needs to be a little more responsible. I will now use this as show you a small video, very small.
Tipantar is a theatre village at Sept in Vardhaman district, a 4-hour drive from Kolkata. Run by a community of theatre practitioners, the 4-acre campus has lush greenery and night stay facilities in ethnic cottages.
College It's a powerful performance. For me, the striking things were the staging and some of the bamboo palanquins they used to carry people. But I really like this idea of taking something universal and giving it a specific Bengali local twist.
Goldbanga village in Nadia district of West Bengal is a traditional hub of the Fakiri musician community. Purulia is the land of Chow dance, mass dance which imbibes martial art. It is also in UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage masterpieces. The Gandhi Ashram hosts training sessions to groom the skills of young artists under the guidance of the gurus. Chumur musicians and dancers, another major performing folk art form of Purulia. The ashram has accommodation facilities for visitors, cottages and dormitories can maximum cater to 150 persons at a time.
অসাধারণ লেগেছে, এটা নতুন এক্সপিরিয়েন্স, সবাইয়ের মধ্যে এত আন্তরিকতা যে সেটা আমি বহু জায়গায় বেরিয়েছি কিন্তু অন্য জায়গায় এটা পাইনি।
There are three interesting things. None of them is wearing a great dress because tourist is coming. So it's not glossy tourism. Whatever they are, because it is the skill that people are coming there to see, appreciate, and everything. Second important, Simon Broughton did not talk about that the house does not have air conditioning. He talked about the theatre. That is the memory that he is taking back. It's very, very important. And third, it is the activity, the engagement with the tourists that you need to plan. That when they come, what they are going to do. What are the things? And the last slide, I don't know if you have noticed, there is a figure, there is a graph chart. And you have seen that, 60,000 is the daytime visitor. But night stay is only 1,000, covering 17 places. So that means you have to keep capacity in mind. Only 1,000 in a year. I think it is important for all of us to understand the importance of capacity. Otherwise, it will look like Kedarnath after the accident happens. We will blame the nature. But these are all man-made. This is also an important part, is to when you develop tourism, because friends are there from the tourism, to be responsible yourself to plan the tourism for them. When they go to a museum, it is a museum people can see, nobody lives in a museum. But when you go to a village, it's a living museum. People are there. Maybe that day my daughter is not well. I'm not interested in meeting anyone. That means that has to be private and public place within the village needs to be planned. When visitors come, they need to come to an assembly point. And there, local person needs to take them because he will know that my daughter is not well. Outsider will not know. And that creates an opportunity for creating the local guide, right? So, They will be, so it is the villagers themselves are the owners. What is the difference? Here, villagers are not laborers. They are the owners. So, WTO, World Tourism Organization, to UNWTO, when UN came that it needs to also fit into the MDG, the important factor that came in, participation of the local people in all possible things. That's an essential part. I was so happy to see Tarun showing even the toilet part, because I had the opportunity of staying at his hotel. And so whatever he has shown, I have gone through this. We met at ITB Berlin. We were showcased at Sustainable Travel Pavilion. He was there, he visited, and that's how we met each other last time in Germany. And this is very, very important that when you plan tourism, plan on behalf of the tourist, plan on behalf of the local people, and think responsibly. This is essential. And you don't need to show, or you don't need to be glossy. You don't need to sell India. Because people are coming to India, but they need to be shown a responsible part of India. And that is what they will appreciate, and that is what visitors will come. In case of Goa, it is essential. Goa is losing on the good tourists. Big time. Big time. And definitely, it is important for Goa, it is important for Goan youth to come forward and take positive steps. See, the world is not or this or that. World is this and that. That's where entrepreneurship has a huge role. Entrepreneurship need not be a $600 billion company all the time. Start small, proceed responsibly, no shortcut to success, remain honest, do the hard work, and I'm sure you might become that $600 billion, but that need not be the focus. So this is what the responsible, sustainable tourism, in my view, the small journey is all about. I say it's a byproduct. When we started, there used to be zero visitor. These villages used to be known as marginalized beggars village. And now there are 60,000 daytime visitors. We are really happy about it. Because this also means 60,000 contacts with the local handicraft or folk performing artists, which is creating another opportunity for them. Maybe somebody is telling them, can you paint my house? Can you paint my this? Can you handicraft this, that? So, there are a number of opportunities which get created, multifold opportunities which get created. Social enterprise and enterprise, there is a big difference. Enterprise is where profit comes to you. Profit comes to the investor. Profit comes to the shareholders, right? Because shareholders are the owners of the enterprise. In social enterprise, investment has to be done by the organization, the owners. A return has to go to the community. Social enterprise does not mean that you will not calculate the ROI. You have to calculate the return on investment. But you have to ensure that investment must go to the communities. In Salset and Margao border, Salset and Kepe border, there is a beautiful village called Aveden. They make lavu, the mandri, the mats. There used to be one lady called Santana. Now there are 20 ladies who are making this, the mats. It's a very traditional mat of Goa. There are fantastic bamboo work possibilities in Valpoi and Ibrampur. Wonderful work at Ibrampur. But it is unfortunate that people still suffer there from the thoughts of untouchability. The Mahar community people still think that Goa still consider them untouchable. We are in 2018, my friends. We all need to come forward. Beautiful peacocks, wonderful greenery, lovely people. We must send visitors to their village. We all must go to such villages. I think it is essential for us. Inclusion and including people in development is not a theory. It's not a may good possibility. It's a must. It's a must. We have worked in Bihar. Mr. Nitish Kumar, the then Chief Minister, declared Mahadalit. He had definitely good things in mind. But what happened? Dalit became Mahadalit. You know, these divisions do not help. And we have worked with 3,000 villages in Bihar. The reproductive child health is horrible. Almost 33% of the pregnant mothers die. And from there, now at least it is 18%. Little improvement has happened. Now you might think, what is the relationship with tourism? It is. Because if the same things exist, even in the next door there is a beautiful Taj hotel, it will not attract the responsible travelers. If Brahmpur to Arambol is very near, if the inclusive, the real participatory development doesn't happen, the tourism will not be sustainable, whatever glossy that we think of. It is essential for us to revive Andalusia. It is essential for us to revive Brahmpur. It is essential for us to work in Bihar. Because all are part of the world, the same world. And it doesn't matter what color, what skin, what religion, nothing. I think that motivates Bangla Natak, and that motivates all of us. And thank you, Nick, for giving us time. And ladies and gentlemen, responsible tourism is being responsible to the human. Thank you.
So now we have half an hour for questions and debate. All the knowledge is not up here. Possibly not much of the knowledge is up here because there's a lot of you. So please, questions. Who's first? Please tell us who you are and what your question is.
My name is Abbas Sheikh and I'm a business management student. My question is, like we've all spoken about how we are supposed to share experiences instead of materialistic things over here. So the idea is of the sort that when you speak about sharing experiences or things like that, or traditions and cultures, do you think the entire purpose of the cultures in the first place, that is to bring people together, would eventually be disrupted by things like commercialization or something of that sort? Eventually, human nature is being competitive, even if you're in a local aspect, even if it's a national aspect or if it's global aspect. Being competitive would lead us to somewhere that is not the original purpose of these cultures or traditions.
I'm speaking from a completely materialistic point of view. So it's not that tourism and commercialization are bad words. It's just that when we are making a product or when we are selling a product, we need to do it responsibly so that it is able to sustain itself in the long run. So that's the point. So culture, economy, society, they won't flourish if there's no money coming in. All that we need to do is be responsible and be creative about how we do things. Right?
I will also take this question because culture belongs to community, right? Now, involvement of local communities can hedge the risk of commercializing the culture. That is the best part. But at the same time, I fully agree with Tarun. We are not talking about no money. We are talking about responsible money. That's a big difference. So that's why I was giving the example of flamenco right now surviving at the restaurant of Madrid, but not there in the source. Imagine if Dhalo is not there at the villages of Goa, will Panchim survive Dhalo for a longer time? Will me and you dance Dhalo for a long time? Maybe once, twice, thrice, 4 times. But the moment we get a better job, we leave. But the villagers whose tradition is Dhalo, they will be doing it not for money, but rather that is their part of the tradition. And when tourists come, they are not interested in seeing me and you. doing dhalo in Panjim restaurant. They are interested dancing with the ladies of the Goan rural beauties of the villages, and where they will play it and they will learn, they will sing, they will see the local thing, they will see when people come together, maybe 7 ladies, 8 ladies, or when the other person is coming with that percussion, that entire ambience will make the difference. I think that's the difference. That rather than taking things from there and putting it here, if we can take the world to the villages of Goa.
I think from my point of view, businesses need a little education. I think that you have a fair point. People will be competitive and they'll try and get the most they can. If they realise that the most they can will deplete a future opportunity for them or their family because they cannot pass their business on, because they have been too competitive, they've depleted resources, people don't come anymore for whatever reason, then I think that education needs to be taken on board. They need to understand better how their objectives short term will fit with their objectives long term. Now, have we answered you?
Yes.
Good. Gentleman in front in red, I think.
My question is to Amitava. So how you encourage the people in West Bengal to take up their traditional arts and crafts? So they had already, say the youth in that villages, they had not already taken it up before you went there, because probably there was some stigma attached, like how you described about the Mandre mans. So how did you ensure that the stigma was removed and they were encouraged to take up the traditional arts? And similarly, in the past in India, there was also division of labor. So wherever the division took place, where you recommended a particular community to take up their own arts. So again, how will you ensure that it doesn't happen in the future, that the stigma comes back?
Firstly, let's say if I am making this pen, my 14 generations are pen makers. Let's assume I am making this pen. My next generation will take up this pen making if this pen means some business for me. Second, if the pen means some recognition or pride for me. Even after making the pen, if I'm treated as a beggar, if I'm treated as a loser, if I'm just treated as a voter, my next generation is not going to pick up the pen. Period. So, when you want to revive any art form, what are the 2 factors? Bring the recognition back to the village. And secondly, ensure economic benefit to the villagers. So 3 things together are very important: village, artist, and art. If all 3 can be promoted together, then art, pen will survive, artists will survive, and the village will evolve from marginalized village to a cultural destination. So this is the crux, that we need to ensure that recognition, and that recognition over time gives rise to the pride. And then my next generation will definitely pick this up. And that has exactly happened. 2004, the Patachitra village had 8 painters. Now, 252. What is the village thing? 2004, the tourist was 0. Now it is huge. I mean, every day, 7, 8, 10. That's huge. Third important, there are so many IP, intellectual property, geographical indications that we all know, right? We are in the educated board, we know that. But did the villagers know that there is something? What was the usual procedure in India? I make pen, so I do a IP on Amitabha pen. Maybe if the pen is made of brass, Amitabha has made brass pen. But who makes the brass pen? Those artists. But have I considered them as artists? Maybe I forgot. I just took them as art laborers, and I think I am a great guy from Baroda. So they are not the traditional artists, they are artisans, and I am the great artist. So how we have broken this? We have applied for 6 villages to own the GI. And now in India, the 6 villages own geographical indications. So if you want to make Patachitra, I want to make Patachitra, we have to write. It is Pingla Patachitra that we are copying. We have to write that, we have to acknowledge that, and the royalty that will come very soon will have to go to Patachitra. So, recognition, village artisan.
Knowing the cultural context and the eco-context, etc. of India, and now you're coming to know more about Goa, how viable and feasible is that? And could you please tell us ways and leads into moving into that? Thank you.
Oh, that's nice and specific. Thank you. I struggle a little when I'm asked about a local context. Firstly, I don't know the local context that well, but I seem to get the same sort of question wherever I go. We went somewhere this time last year, and it was, oh, marketing is difficult here. The government is difficult here. Well, hello people, it's difficult everywhere. And the other small little issue, I think, is that unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you view it, the human race hasn't evolved a whole lot in the last 40,000 years. We're the same people now as we were then. We think the same way. It doesn't really matter where on the planet. I think if you can take the way, more specifically, that my sister-in-law worked. She had exactly these issues. Scottish people are very friendly and very open, just like the Goans, but they're also very competitive, and they want cake, and they don't care if nobody else gets cake, and that's a very small business attitude as well, which picks up my friend's point as well. You have to make it worth their while. You have to say, if this works for you in this context, at this scale, and I'm listening to your concerns, and your concerns are common for small businesses, I suspect. I'll generalise, I apologise, but I have to generalise, and say, I can't do this because I don't have the resource. If only I could get that. These people are doing better, why aren't I getting it? This is the general list of complaints that small business people have. I don't have time, that's a cracker. Well, you've got all the time in the world. You've got all the time there is. It's how you spend it. It's how you spend your resources. So find a way which you find a problem, you find a possible solution, then you've got to spend a lot of time and a lot of effort convincing people it's in their best interest. So I can't be tremendously specific without a specific problem and a specific context, but you have to spend some. Yeah, the small business owner that I mentioned in my presentation, he's quite symptomatic of most, and was certainly in that context symptomatic there. There were a lot of people who said, "Why should I?" And there are a lot of people, when you get a lot of people together, you get what my friend calls the charity syndrome. You know, a third of the people do the work, a third of the people talk about the people who do the work, and a third of the people come for lunch. So don't be surprised if you get a gang of people together who say they want this, but only a few of them will take it forward. And if you've got to find someone who will champion it and put some time, effort, blood, sweat, and quite a few tears into it, but it can happen. I hope. Good luck.
Here, Nick, I'll just add one small part. We are in an entrepreneurship seminar, right? And a long time back, I heard a beautiful definition of entrepreneurship. Whenever you see problem, that means there is a scope of entrepreneurship. So if we all understand this is an opportunity for entrepreneurs, the young entrepreneurs, and there are so many young entrepreneurs who are excellently making that walking tours, new proposals, and she's working in more gym. So there are a number of beautiful attempts which are coming up, and I think combination of those will actually make Goa a better destination. As Professor Sahani said, it is not the best, it is not the good, it is better. So we all need to move towards the better part through small involvement in the new products and the responsible way of tourism.
Sustained effort in Goan villages to try and bring out these marginalized artisans into artists. I have personally witnessed some programs, the workshops you conduct to train them. And then as a result, you also try to make these villages into kind of tourism attraction so that people can actually, the whole thing can actualize into some money flowing. I want to know whether it has succeeded or not and why.
No, Panchali, firstly, I do not expect result in that way. It is an attempt, it will go on. It is a question is always invest in people. Some result will come today, some result will come tomorrow, some result will come. It's a process. We are developing a process where, let's say, the artists are more capable. They can show a demonstration because they are also not fully ready yet. If you go there and ask for 30 mantris right now, they won't be able to give it. So these are important. Second important, they are not yet aware of the pricing. They make it 1200 rupees, 1500 rupees, because they used to make 50. So these are very important issues. Thirdly, when guests come, they need to show them a demonstration. So demonstration, workshop, these are again two different words. And then the guests, when they come, they need to be given a cup of tea. Water should be offered. So these are hospitality things. It will take its own time. So please do not see that, the moment you start working, immediately all tourists. No, you will be surprised. There are about 300 visitors to each of these villages in last 1 year. 300 is nothing with respect to Google. It's a lot with respect to us.
Can you pass perfect, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeet, and the question is, if you are treating culture as a living museum, and you're saying it's a living museum, which basically means that it's going to change, right? So how is it that when you are showcasing a particular culture and you want it to be authentic, but authentic means it's frozen in time, but you have to design and factor in the change that the culture is going to go through and be able to exhibit that too. Am I clear about what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, firstly, we are talking about traditional folk culture, and it changes with time. Now, who is the owner of that culture? The community. So, obviously, with respect to time, let's say I give an example of Patachitra. They used to make the scroll painting, which is 25 feet long. Now, who of us have floors with 25 feet wall? None. Things have changed. So their market collapsed. So who is the possible buyer? Only the museums. Now how many museums, how many times they will buy? So obviously Patachitra, what was that? Using natural color. So what is the skill? Natural color. What is the second essential part of the authenticity or the art form? Is that storytelling by painting. So we picked up these two elements, strengthened these two, and now you will find even a glass with Patachitra painting. So we changed the application. That didn't mean that we have stopped the scrolls. No, Bombay Airport has bought a 65 feet scroll. And they have paid 7.5 lakhs to the artist. Fantastic. But even if you have 7.5 lakhs, you will not be able to buy that 65 feet. Where you will keep it? So we have to always work with them with the new possible applications, keeping the original traditional skill authenticity. Remember one thing, this is what is tangible heritage, which you can touch. What is intangible, which you cannot touch. We are talking about intangible. So the person who is making the glass doesn't become a tangible heritage. It is the skill, which is actually the intangible heritage. So we have to also find out what is the skill and what is the authenticity or the uniqueness in that skill. I think that is the essential part. The weaving, the Indian weaving. Recently we were in South Korea in one of the biennale, this art biennale, and there They invited all the handicraft people to come, but everybody was using machine except the two traditional artists of Bengal. And so everybody flocked together there because most of the hand-related work now is in museum in all over the world. We are in exceptional scenario and that's our strength. I did not say it's a living museum, I said that it is not a museum. Here we have to understand that people are living. So that means we need to differentiate between a museum and this. That means private and public assembly point, involving community, taking them the guided tour, and then opening it up for the tourists to interact, whoever can come. And also at every place we have built a small community museum. That art form through the eyes of the artist. Because art form through the eyes of me, you, and a great artist is completely different than the art form through the eyes of them. I think this is another important part.
Gentleman here and a gentleman to the left of that one first. Oh.
I am Shujoy Gupta, I'm a journalist. A couple of points to open up this discussion and make it slightly Goa specific, because a lot of problems that plague Goa emerge from many of the points that have been discussed. The problem with Goa is that 70% of Goa's tourism is focused in an area of about 5%. And where Goa is actually suffering is, when we say Goa is suffering from too much of tourism, the point is, it's not so much about too much of tourism, it's all about how tourism is focused and concentrated only in a small belt along the coast, which is putting extreme pressure on resources, on land, on environment, on the garbage situation. Everything is focused in one place. The other problem is that there are a lot of communities that are working, a lot of organizations that are working towards making Goan tourism much more sustainable. The problem here is that the messaging from the government is not correct. The thing is, we've spoken about everything else, but I think messaging and positioning is so critical. And not enough has been done to put out that messaging that tourism needs to move away from the coast. It needs to move to the backwaters, to the hinterlands. So in the sense that Mahesh Patilji yesterday gave an excellent presentation on what he's doing in the interiors of Darbandora. The point here is, and again it's a point and responses can be sought, we need to also figure out how to distribute our resources. And I think the messaging has to be done, and the messaging needs to be married to the fact that proper infrastructure has to be created in other parts of Goa so that there's pressure off. Otherwise, Goa is going to completely collapse under the weight of excess tourism along Goa's coast.
I see a terrific opportunity in there as well for entrepreneurs, for small-time business owners. And as far as messaging goes, well, if government has a unified messaging or an ad program, great. But in the times of social media and word of mouth publicity is the biggest contributor to making small places down all over. So I think it's a terrific opportunity if tourism is concentrated in 5% of Goa, 95% of Goa is an option.
I'll also add to this. I fully agree with you, Shujoy, but at the same time, it's an opportunity for entrepreneurs. Give two small examples. Sundarban, whenever the promotion of Sundarban used to happen by West Bengal Tourism or India Tourism, they only used to show the faces of tigers. I have been to Sundarban 17 times, I have never seen a tiger. So if I am a tourist coming from New Zealand 17 times to see a tiger, I will be actually a very frustrated tourist. And I think I am being cheated. So, you need advocacy with the government, but the Sundarban is not about tiger. Sundarban is about mangrove. Beautiful mangrove forest, wonderful journey through launch, You can see the boat making, you can listen and work with the communities on their culture. There are 3 communities which came. One came from Bangladesh, and along with them, actually there came the agricultural knowledge and the Bhatiyali, that is the music of the river, the music of the boatmen. One came from Midnapur, and that is where the Jatra Pala came. And the third one, Mr. Hamilton, who actually brought the laborers from the Chotanagpur plateau, so along with them the Jhumur culture came. And that's why in Sundarban you find the conglomeration of the 3 cultures. So the narrative needs to be changed. And now West Bengal government and India government does not show a single photograph of tiger. It took 7 years, but it has happened. So government, we should not blame government, because government is by people, for people. By people is also very essential. Our role does not end only after electing the government. Our role also is important in engaging with the government in daily basis. Rather than complaining, we should also take forward few solutions. And it is important that we give a solution, and I'm hoping they will not accept it. Then give the next one. Hoping it will not, give the next one. And who knows, that somebody is listening. 8th one will be taken up. So one should periodically actually give some suggestions, and trust me, it works everywhere. So I'm actually a very pro-government that way, because when government takes it up, it's a very sustainable approach. But when government is not taking up, it's a great opportunity for entrepreneurs to come forward and do this. So if none of us talk about beach in Goa, then do you think the world will not know that Goa has beaches? But world will know that Goa has also many other things other than the beaches. Second small point I would like to mention, because I see Clinton here, it is important to understand, let's say Agonda, like 10 years before Palolem Beach and today Palolem Beach. I mean, people who have been to Palolem before will never like to visit Palolem now. Because you can see all the Bollywood songs continuously from the shacks, and I'm not against Bollywood, but the question is, it kills the environment. It takes the good tourist away from there. Agonda, still 2 years back was beautiful, now still it is manageable, but there is no waste management system. So tomorrow, if we do not do in Agonda then this is going to be a big problem in Agonda. So all the development issues and tourism are very much linked. It is not only linked to culture, and this is where the scope for entrepreneurship exists.
I'm actually very happy to say that many of the sustainability principles that you spoke of, we've actually experimented them in Goa, in a village called Verle in Netravali. It's a project called Angan, and it's completely, so it's Goa's first tourism cooperative that has been registered. And so a lot of, including the carrying capacity part, that has been interestingly worked out. So I'm taking this opportunity to actually, invite you to come and see that place. The only sad part is Amitabh doesn't know about it yet.
I will ensure that I will visit your place soon. What I can offer here, I'm a believer of the collaboration. That's very important. In my video also, the first thing that I've shown is a theatre village. It's not run by us, it's run by theatre people. Gandhi Ashram. So I think collaboration and promoting them togetherness, that I believe in it and working. For all the small entrepreneurs and such projects in Goa, what I can do that, we get these days, because we are little bigger than you, we get these days space to promote tourism in almost every forum. We get stall free of cost. It will be my pleasure, privilege, and I will like to promote all such places together. And I'll be very happy as a co-entrepreneur to create the platform of togetherness in promoting the responsible tourism in Goa, across India and abroad, including in ITB Berlin March.
That was a good last message. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think Amitabh has a small entertainment, and then we can go to a cup of tea. Very good.
We run a big, not a big, it's a festival in Goa, along with Kolkata. It's called Surjahan. and many people know us by that. So I got quite a few requests that, when is the date, when is the date, when is the date? So I thought I will take this opportunity to share.
Celebrating cultural diversity and pluralism is the theme of our festival, and as you know, the motto is music for all and music for peace.
Surj Jahan, a 3 days World Peace Music Festival.
I will stop it here. This is just a snippet of Surj Jahan. If you do not know, it is free, non-ticketed. The venue has been shifted to International Center Goa, and the date is February 6th, 7th, 8th. And this time the headliner act comes from Cape Verde, the lifetime Grammy winner, Mario Lucio. Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Ted.